Alrighty. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PT on Ice Daily Show. My name is Christina Previtt. I am one of two lead faculty for clinical management of the fitness athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum. I hope all of you had a wonderful holiday season. Celebrate Christmas. I hope that all my parents are feeling good after the holiday season. You probably need a vacation from the holiday season. With everything going on, I feel like this Monday is like the down day after, where you're just like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. But I hope you all had a wonderful time with family and friends, and you got to relax a little bit over the holidays. And if you're on vacation between Christmas and New Year, that's amazing. And I hope you get some downtime as we approach 2022. If you are looking to get involved in the pregnancy and postpartum space, in 2022, we have a couple of course offerings for you. We start our next cohort, our 8-week online cohort of clinical management of the fitness athlete, pregnancy, and postpartum on January 3rd. We are almost halfway full, so get on to that. If you are interested in working with female athletes at any point along their preconception to postpartum journeys. And if you're looking to be certified in internal pelvic floor, then our live course is starting in 2022 as well. So in February in Hendersonville is our first inaugural course. So I hope to see you all there. All right, so today I wanted to talk about an article that has been floating around the interwebs over the last several days. So this was an article that was done by USA Today that was talking about how the pandemic might be leading to more pelvic pain, and started talking about pelvic pain. First thing that I want to talk about with this article is that it's really wonderful to see that more and more awareness is coming to issues with pelvic health, and the fact that there are rehabilitation efforts that can be done. Especially in the pelvic pain space, you're thinking there's going to be a big bridge between obstetrics, gynecology, and pelvic floor PT. There's going to be a lot of working back and forth depending on the cause of pelvic pain. And there is much more awareness being brought to this space. So first off, before I get on a little tiny bit of a rant about this, I want to say that I think it's amazing that we're starting to get more awareness. I think that some of the authors or the specialists that were quoted in this article are incredible, and they work to the top of their license. They spend a lot of time educating on social media, which is great. And so it's really exciting to see that this is getting a little bit more mainstream attention. One of the things that these types of articles always create a little bit of cognitive dissonance with me is the conjecture that can happen when we are seeing articles like this. So it said the pandemic may be leading to more pelvic pain. Here's what we need to know. And in this article, there wasn't a single research study that was looking at incidence of pelvic pain, and it's the influence of the pandemic on those outcomes. And why is that important? For two reasons. One is confounding variables, and the second one is bias. So if I am a physical therapist and I see CrossFitters with shoulder pain, then I say, oh, well, I can't do CrossFit because all CrossFitters get pelvic pain, or all CrossFitters get shoulder pain. Where is the issue with that? The issue is that you're using a biased sample because you're a physical therapist, you're treating orthopedic injuries, and unless you had some sort of musculoskeletal pain, you probably wouldn't be seeking out a PT. So you are in a biased sampling saying, well, CrossFit leads to shoulder injuries. I treat shoulder injuries all the time. Well, you treat CrossFitters that have shoulder pain because they're seeing you because shoulder pain. You're looking at the numerator. What is the denominator? Like, what is the pool of CrossFitters that gives us a true idea or scope of the amount of shoulder pain in CrossFitters? right? And this led to a bunch of issues in the CrossFit space because there was an article that got posted in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research that ended up being redacted because their statistical methods and their bias shone through in the research study, and it became a big issue, and CrossFit really went after them from a litigious perspective and won. And so the same can be true in pelvic PT. So if we're seeing, okay, well, more people are coming to see me for pelvic pain, but I'm a PT and I treat pelvic pain, then, or I'm a OBGYN and I treat pelvic pain, well, then there's one thing that we're in a bias sampling, right? So we know the numerator, we might be getting more popular in our clinics, or we might be busier, we might have more of a wait list since the pandemic started, but we don't know what that denominator is. And we also have this huge confounding variable. So that's the risk of bias piece. The confounding variable is that social media has exploded in the pelvic health space, which is incredible. Even 5 years ago, we would not have had nearly as much eyeballs or attention on things like leaking with double unders or pain with intercourse causing issues or pelvic organ prolapse. Nobody even knew what POP was. And since then, OBGYNs, a lot of physicians and pelvic PTs have really done a lot of work to try and ameliorate that problem. And so over the last 2 years, can we say that it's the pandemic that's leading to more people coming into clinics for pelvic pain, or is there more awareness of the pelvic health space and what help can be done for things like vulvodynia that may be leading to this increased incidence of people coming into the clinic? And the reason why I say that is because the reason why this article started to get posted is because women on TikTok were talking about the fact that they have pelvic pain, which is amazing. They're sharing their stories, they're interacting and showing others that this is something that unfortunately has too high of an incidence. And then we're working through some of that from there. So that confounding variable is probably an awareness when some of these accounts have, 500,000 to 1 million followers, you are getting that increase in awareness. So that being said, some of the articles or some of the points that they're making in this article, I think have merit. One, we know that stress can negatively impact the pelvic floor, which is what they said. It's not necessarily something mechanical. The Vagina Whisperer, I think she did a great job of highlighting the fact that we're not saying that there's anything mechanical going on. We're just saying that stress has an impact on the body, and this pandemic has gone on a lot longer than we previously thought, with a lot more intricacies. There's been a lot more, I remember when I shut down Stave Off for the first time, I said, see you in 2 weeks, and now you're like, LOL. 2 years later, where Canadians are thinking they're going into another lockdown. So that stress accumulates and it can lead to hypertonicity of the pelvic floor. For individuals who get COVID, excessive coughing can make symptoms worse. That's one of the other subheadings that they had there, which I think is a really important thing to mention. Somebody who has a condition that incorporates a chronic cough, like COPD, they're at heightened risk of pelvic organ prolapse, so that's an important consideration. And the thought is that there's been a lot of changes in care, that have happened in the pelvic health space, in the postpartum space. I talked about that a little bit with my birth story with Quinn, that the postpartum population might be needing a bit more help. And being a first-time mom in particular, not to say that it isn't impacting moms who have had children, but having your first child in the pandemic really changes how you are experiencing your pregnancy, how you're experiencing your postpartum journey. There's so many other variables that you're worrying about, like your newborn getting COVID, the vaccine, all these types of things that are really important considerations and things that moms need to be making informed decisions about. And it just adds to the stress of something that's already quite life altering as having a baby. So kind of bringing this around full circle, I think having more of these mainstream media pages that are highlighting pelvic health concerns, I think is great. I think the people that they interviewed on this article are wonderful. I highly respect them all. We need to start looking at the truth behind this. This is something that we could be looking at, longitudinal data sets or looking at doing case reviews of individuals that have come in pre-pandemic versus post-pandemic and comparing frequencies and seeing if there is a lot of discrepancy or there has been a sharp uptick, and we can control statistically for some of those confounding variables. So things that are really important for us to be thinking about. My take-home message with this is that sometimes we have to be careful with what we post to our stories. It's so easy for us to be like, that's so great, it was on a mainstream media page, share to my story. But if you're a PT that is working in this space, or you're a PT that's using your page to get information out, there's a responsibility there as well that we need to make sure. This is not an example of something that I wouldn't share, but there have been a lot of situations where people are sharing things to their story and it's not credible, or it's conjecture, and there's incomplete or highly biased information that comes up, and that's created a lot of issues in our world over the last several years. So we need to make sure that we are being careful with what we are and vet our knowledge. I talk a lot about being a geek about some of the research space even, so things that we need to be thinking about, and this to me was a very good example of something that was very well done, but there are stuff in this that can create issues too. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I can put the link to the article underneath, and you can give it a read through and let me know what you think. What are all your thoughts about trying to get pelvic health space into mainstream media? How are we going to be talking about this? How are we going to be really pushing the boundaries of trying to get eyeballs on pelvic pain, vulvodynia, and painful intercourse, and all these things that really can negatively impact a person's quality of life. But sometimes they don't realize that there are rehabilitation interventions that can help, and they don't need surgery, they don't need medicine, they're not doomed to have pain with intercourse for the rest of their life, and there's a lot that we can do. And these types of articles are a really great way to open up that gateway so that somebody who may be struggling with these things gets the help that they need. So hopefully this sparked conversations with physicians. It prompted a telephone call to a pelvic PT, and somebody is on the road to recovery. So I think that's wonderful. All right, that is it for me today. I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. If you're working, I am with you. I'm working today too. I am trying to get caught up from taking a couple days off to be with family. And if you are interested in getting into our pelvic health arena, we have our online course starting January 3rd, and our inaugural internal course starts February 22nd, 23rd. So super exciting stuff. Can't wait to see you all in 2022, and I hope you get to enjoy the last couple of days of 2021.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to the PT on Ice Daily Show. If you enjoyed this content, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review, and be sure to check us out on Facebook and Instagram at the Institute of Clinical Excellence. If you're interested in getting plugged into more ICE content on a weekly basis while earning CEUs from home, check out our virtual ICE online mentorship program at ptonice.com. While you're there, sign up for our Hump Day Hustling newsletter for a free email every Wednesday morning with our top 5 research articles and social media posts that we think are worth reading. Head over to ptonice.com and scroll to the bottom of the page to sign up.